Y'all might don't want to tell it, but you know it's true now. That's that jump when you hit the back, all them other DNAs and stuff come out. You got about 65 DNA in the back of them. Old Charles, ex-husband, baby dad, all that right there.
A lot of y'all don't have a strong enough stroke game to get to that point. So you think you got a good girl, but I'm telling you, if you really get in there and open her up, some things are gonna come out.
Tell us the truth.
What's good, YouTube? It's your man, Book of AlphaRonomy, aka Doc BOA. Yeah, I got time today. A-Ball and MJG are one of the most respected hip-hop groups in Southern rap history, really in rap history. During a time where Southern rappers had no outlet, New York wasn't willing to even touch the South. The West Coast had their own compartmentalized version of hip-hop that was only West Coast, and there was no such thing as Midwest hip-hop at that time. A-Ball and MJG, along with UGK, represented us in a way that resonated with us because the things they rapped about, we were actually living, for better or for worse. And a lot of us can recall, what we were doing and how we were living with some of those classic songs, Lay It Down, Crumbs to Bricks, Players Night Out, On Top of the World, Coming Out Hard, Mr. Big, they call him Mr. Big. All of these songs, man, we remember these songs. And even now, we play these songs to get a bit of nostalgia about, the parts of our past that we enjoyed. Well, finally, the Southern rappers, A-Ball and UGK, they're starting to get their flowers and starting to be interviewed by some of these top-tier hip-hop podcasts. And one in particular that's starting to extend that olive branch to the Southern OG rappers is Nori and DJF and the Drink Champs podcast. Recently, they did an interview with A-Ball and MJG, and MJG, OG MJG, who understands the game the way I understand the game. Ball and G, they understand the game. UGK, Pimp and Bun, they understand the game. Big and Dre, they understand the game. All OGs understand the game. And we understand that there's a bit of damage that comes to you psychologically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and sometimes even financially, from dealing with women who have a high body count. But let's listen to MJG talk about this in the most comical way ever. This guy's a riot. And then we'll come back and chop it up on a real tip.
45 Pumper. That's the one that, everything starts out beautiful, lovely, smelling good, like you say, tasting good, whatever, the whole 9 yards. You pumping, you stroking. 41, 42, 43, 44, 40. Whoa! Oh! What the hell? What the empty four caskets in here or something? I'm telling you, the 40. Y'all might don't want to tell it, but you know it's true now. That's that jump when you hit the back, all them other DNAs and stuff come out. You got about 65 DNA in the back of them. Old Charles, ex-husband, baby dad, all that right there. And then, you finna hit the 45 Pumper. You'll know it. And if you really like her, if you still really like her that much, learn how to tone your game down about 35, 40 pump.
Put the brakes on it.
Yeah, put the brakes on it.
Now, I want y'all to understand something. And this sounds like a joke, and he did say it in a joking manner, but I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of y'all don't have a strong enough stroke game to get to that point. So you think you got a good girl, but I'm telling you, if you really get in there and open her up, some things are going to come out. Like there's a certain freshness that a woman has when her body count is extremely low. That's why when you see women with extremely low body count, they don't use things like, they don't douche and they don't use all of these different perfumes and all of this. A woman who smells good naturally, she simply may use something like coconut oil or shea butter or something, but she ain't putting no perfumes and all of that on her, or no powders and all of that, inside of her underwear or any of that, because she don't need it. A woman who needs that it's a different ballgame. I've heard a woman told me once, I was talking to her, man, and she told me that I had just met her. She told me, man, that someone was complaining about how, once they get into it, she has a scent to her, she has a smell to her. And she was like, well, after you start doing it, it's supposed to stink. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not supposed to stink. Let me tell you something, ladies. You're not supposed to stink. Maybe during the time Floetta is in town, maybe during that period where you have to wear female sanitary napkins, maybe then, but otherwise you shouldn't have an offensive aroma. You never should. It's just because you go work out and do something. Yes, you're not going to smell your freshest after you work out. Hell, after I go work out, I don't smell my freshest, but I don't stink. I mean, unless I go a couple of days without deodorant or something like that, or I just haven't bathed already. But if you take care of your hygiene regularly, there should not be a foul odor coming from inside of you. And this comes from all of y'all feel like y'all got to have a whole phase. I'm telling you, all that does is gives you things that you can't get rid of. You can't get rid of all of those energies and all of those different pheromones and hormones and all that that's in you. You're never going to be fresh again. And it's cool to be fresh when you're fresh out of the shower or fresh from freshening up, however you freshen up. We're not talking about that. We're talking about later on in the day. I'll give you a sign like this. I'm going to tell you men like this. You got a woman. Here's what you do. Y'all get up and go do something active all day long. Just go do something active. When y'all are done, and I'm not saying go climb no mountain and then y'all just go hang out all day. Don't go sit in the movie theater and then like that. Y'all go do something. If y'all don't do nothing but shop and walk around the mall or go on a trail or go to a botanical gardens and just walk around, just be active. And then when y'all get home, I want you to try to smash her immediately when y'all get home. The telltale sign that your woman knows that she has to stay on top of a level of freshness that she shouldn't have to stay on top of because she turns stinky after a while is if she fights you off of her and be like, no, I won't. Let me go get in the shower first. And she don't even want you to touch her. She ain't gonna do that. She got to go. She don't want you to even see what she see when she ain't on top of her hygiene. And by on top of your hygiene, it should mean that you can't even go walk around at the mall and come home without having some scent. It's not right to have a scent on you. But this is what happens in this society because the more men you sleep with, the more off balance your pH is. And when you get a certain amount of men, your pH balance never goes back to what it was. You having a hormonal imbalance in your life to where you got too much testosterone from these men's energy and it's altering your estrogen levels and all of that. So you're gonna have foul aromas. A woman who's been with a bunch of men, she's liable to get musty under her arm quicker. A woman who's been with a lot of men is more likely to have foul breath quicker. All of these things happen. It's a curse from God for you being a whoremongering woman. It's just a curse from God. Like it's just like it's a curse from God for you as a man. If for you as a man, if you live a life a certain way, then you get a certain curse from God as well. But it doesn't stop women because one of you guys is still going to be like MJG just said. If you really like her, just tone down your game so you won't hit 45 pumps. This is what the thing is. And that's an arbitrary number. I know it could be 50, but that theory is real. It could be 50 pumps, but you have to understand that you don't have to settle for that. That you shouldn't really like her if that's the case. That's an indication that she has too many bodies, right? So y'all think I'm playing, right? Y'all think I'm just making it up, man. That ain't got nothing to do with women want to be in a whole phase and nothing like that, man. Well, let's listen to women tell you. Women of all shapes, sizes, and creeds, man, tell you that they need a whole phase.
You think it's necessary to have a whole phase throughout your life?
Yes,
within
yeah.
You
Yes.
do. I agree on that.
I had been with this guy for 5 years, so I wasn't really having sex with a lot of people. And so for one summer, I said, I'm gonna do whatever I feel in the moment that I feel it. There was this time where I was at this bar having this meeting with this girl, and this bartender was just giving me the eyes and just kept giving me these blueberry mojitos or something. And the bar was kind of empty. So I was like, I'm gonna go use the bathroom. We end up in the freezer.
Now I want y'all to think about this, bro. Now, granted, I'm not telling you that something's wrong with this. There are women who are just like this. I have enjoyed my fair share of women who are like this. Like there are women who are in their whole phase. And it's cool. If you meet a woman that's in her whole phase, let her be in there. I'm just telling you, don't wife her up. Don't wife up a woman that's in that phase. Don't wipe up a woman who's been through that phase. And you can tell if a woman has been through that phase. Number one sign a woman has been through a whole phase. We'll talk about that. I'll give you 3 signs that a woman is at the end of a whole phase at the end of this clip.
Freezer.
I'll cheers to that. Oh, I guess I never had a whole phase then because of that. But it all makes sense though. Even like when I think about myself, my mother's an ordained minister. So when I sit here and listen to what everybody's saying, we all have that common ground where church was in our household. So maybe that's where our shame towards each other.
For sure. The conversations were given to us,
Of course.
to not be sluts, to not open our legs, to basically to not have sex at all. So similar to y'all, I didn't start having sex until I was 20. And I basically wanted to do so because I felt, I didn't feel pretty. I wanted to be wanted. And so I started having sex as a hoe. Like I just, just was out here in college and just spreading it wide and laying it low.
But most people do that, so don't feel bad.
Well, no, I don't feel bad. It was great. I had a great time.
Sitting here with a smile.
It's just so sad that women, especially Black women in my experience, have this shame and this like barrier of religion when it comes to sex.
Yeah. And the thing is that the religion factor takes the pleasure out of it.
Exactly.
Because it's like almost immediately I'm already thinking
guilty.
about
You gotta fall down
going
at
to
the
hell.
altar.
Yeah, now I have to go repent.
My grandmother was a minister. 2 aunts are ministers. 3 uncles are ministers.
Your house was the church.
Yeah.
That's why I moved far away from all of them to Los Angeles, because I was like, I don't like this. It feels like a cult in a sense. Yes, I used to sneak and do a lot of stuff because I didn't feel like I could talk to my mom.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. So therefore, my daughter, like anything she wants to do, I'm like, come to me first, talk to me. Anything, I will not judge you. It's an
I had
open
to have
door
a
for you.
whole
The crazy thing,
I always run into somebody with a very small penis.
Now, here's what I want y'all to understand, man. This isn't anything saying anything negative about these women. This is directed to you men. Stop believing in this society, in this culture, where groups of women, by and large, are deciding that it doesn't make them unwife-like to have a hoe face. They're literally saying that they don't want to be godly women. They don't want to be the wife of a godly man. They don't want to be the wife of a moral man. They don't want to be the wife of a righteous man. They would rather be dealing with men who are whoremongers just like them. They don't want that. So what I am telling you is stop looking for that in this society. I don't know why you men are still looking for something that doesn't exist in this society. A wife is supposed to be a woman who has not been on and does not want to be on and in a hoe phase, man. What part of this don't you guys understand? Now, there's somebody out here who will wife up some of these women. Probably not the big girl, but there's somebody who will wife her up too. Probably just fewer people. But there's men out here that will wife up any of these women. And you know what I be hearing y'all sucker talking about? Man, you can't even talk to them like that. You can't even talk to them like that. You can't talk about what they can do whatever they want to do. Yeah, you're right. They can do whatever they want to do, but you can do whatever you want to do too. And what you can do is not want to wife up a woman who has admittedly been in the 3 or 4 phase. And I say this to y'all as well. And this is going to rub some people the wrong way, but I don't really care what rub you the wrong way. Here's what you got to understand. You as a man have the right to look outside of the United States to find a woman who fits into your idea of a wife. Because if you're a traditional man and you want a traditional wife, you're not going to find her here in the United States. You're going to compromise what you accept in your life, and it's going to falter. It's going to fail. I'm telling you. So don't do what MJG said. Don't tone down your stroke game to 35 pumps so you won't hit the 45 pumper mark. Don't do that. Understand the type of woman that you have. That should make you not like her. Because here's the thing. A woman who accepts and embraces her whole phase, she's going to go back into it if the opportunity presents itself. Because you hear how they talk about it. They talk about it like it was an enjoyable time. They love it. They moved away from their families so they could go live their whole phase freely. Here's the thing with that. Now they move out to one place and they go through their phase, and then they move to another place and they're a good girl. The man don't even know their history because he ain't going to never bump into nobody that she's been with. You understand me? And I know some beta male say, man, Johnny gonna come in here and say, well, that'll be away. Let me tell you something. Men go through a whole phase too, that'll be away. You can't hold it against the women, that'll be away. Let me tell you something, boy. God said a man's supposed to be with one woman and a woman's supposed to be one man. And well, I ain't gonna lie now. In Deuteronomy, he did say that if a man have 2 wives and he put, well, a man can have at least 2 wives, but that ain't got nothing to do with that'll be away. You act like these women can't change, that'll be away. Everybody can change, that'll be away. Let me tell you something, boy. You act like you perfect. You think you perfect? You ain't perfect, that'll be away. Matter of fact, you the most imperfect person I ever know. I ain't gonna listen to you no more. Unsubscribe. Okay, unsubscribe. So before you go, let me tell you this. These women have energies in them that they're never going to be able to get rid of. Never. And the fact that they openly discuss this is a good thing for you. All you got to do is watch online, watch when women talk. Everybody wants to share their lives now because there's content in it. There's revenue in it. And so some of these outlandish things you hear women saying, you think they be joking. No, I'm telling you. Listen, the most outlandish thing you've ever heard a woman say online, I know personally women who've done worse. Women who've done even more egregious things than that. So all I'm telling you is you got to understand what you invited into your life. If a woman has ever gone through a hoe phase, she's just a retired hoe now. She's still the same woman. She's just retiring, resting herself from her phase. But that's why a lot of you men end up, y'all get with this woman, man. She seemed like a good girl. 10 years in, she turned into that. You think she turned into that. No, she's going back into who she was. That's why two things that you got to remember. If a woman needs a whole lot of extra stuff to be pleased sexually, that's the residue of a hoe phase. A woman who ain't been active like that, man, her body is still sensitive to touch. Her body is still sensitive to kissing. Her body is still sensitive to licking. Her body is still sensitive to caressing. Her body is still sensitive to that. A woman who's already been through her phase, it takes a lot for her. Another sign, a woman who uses toys. Boy, if a woman uses toys, that woman is trying to find what she used to find in her phase. And let me tell you something. A woman with one man can be satisfied by one man if that man is attracted to her and she's attracted to him, as long as she hadn't been on the whole phase. A woman who has been in the whole phase, that woman cannot be satisfied by one man because she's used to having multiple men have access to her and multiple men she has access to. So any woman that can be intimate 3 or 4 times a day because she can call 3 or 4 different men, no man who is a busy man getting money is going to be able to be intimate with the same woman 3 or 4 times a day. No man should. Like, nobody wants that. Who wants that? I want y'all to comment down below and tell me when the last time you had a woman as a grown man, and not when you first got your first piece, but how many times have you ever had a woman you was in a relationship and you want to be intimate with that woman 3 or 4 times a day? Y'all put that in the comments down below. And remember, don't allow yourself to be convinced that you should settle for a woman who doesn't fit a position. Now, if you just want something to play with, not to stay with, these women and women like them are perfect. But if you want somebody to stay with, bruh, don't you ever get played by a woman who'd have been through a whole phase. Because it ain't the fact that she been through it and now she out of it. It's the fact that she's just taking a break. She'll be back.